Can you guys hear it?
Not yet.
Oh,
So before I got to base camp,
I got it.
Yes.
Got it.
okay, good.
maybe quiet desperation. So on the outside, I was really successful. I had the wife, I had the kid, I had an amazing job. Everything on the outside looked well and good, but on the inside, I was broken in the sense that everything that I had been learning as a Christian about freedom and about victory and about being more than a conqueror, like it wasn't materializing in my life. I just needed somebody to tell me how to get where I wanted to go, how to obtain freedom. And so walking into base camp, like that was more than anything I've ever wanted in my whole life. I just wanted freedom. Just wanted freedom.
You see, the enemy's plan is very simple: to take out your heart, take away the story from us. If you rise up, if you put off the poser, if you begin to experience deep restoration, if you embrace your identity, the enemy knows his gig is up, right? His gig is up. You're not a mistake. Your moment is not a mistake. That heart that gets stirred in you, God gave you that heart for a reason. And the reason is because you're going to need it for the story that you're living in. Come on, come on, come on, and try. Come on, come on, come on, try. Oh, come on, do that. Come on, come on. I'm sitting here. You're coming. Gonna find me. Spoon. Spoon.
Yeah, that first base camp is when God became real to me. When we were in one of the prayer sessions with John and I'm sitting there and I hear this word and I hear somebody talking and I look at my pastor, my buddy Chad, he's sitting beside me and I said, "Did you hear that?" And he's like, "No, shh, we're praying." We're praying. And I was like, "All right." And a little bit later, I heard it again. And I was like, "Tim, did you hear it?" He's like, "No, shh." Yeah, I heard it a third time, and I was like, I had to have heard that it was for you. And it was God. He was talking to me, and he called me a name. He called me son. And the third time that I heard him say it, I knew he was talking to me. And there were tears and snot hanging out of my face on the floor. It was just nasty, ugly crying. And it meant so much to me because the conflict and the trouble that I've had with my own father, I never thought that I would be worthy to be called son. My goodness, whatever my heavenly father called me that, I didn't think it was possible.
Some of those, but most of my experience in life has been God taking me, reading my Bible, messing up, having to go seek and ask forgiveness, and then getting some dudes around me or reading something or somebody's mentoring me from a book like John Eldridge. I've only met him one time, but I feel like the guy's been an instrumental part in so much of my life, and the heart of the man and the way he's mentored and loved me and you guys and so many of us. And then we've taken that message and we've shared the gospel through that media.
Yeah.
It's been life changing.
So leave those shackles in the grave now. Just like you were young. You do not have to live in chains now. There's a key within your soul. So leave a past and take a
So it was, I know that it is, and I'm grateful that I now have an experience and a knowledge to invite men into. Yeah. It's real. Yeah. And it's for every man. Yeah. Doesn't matter what you're struggling with or where you are. Like freedom is it's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, can somebody get the lights? Hopefully I can get this turned off and then we can, get the guys back on when I turn the sharing off. Stop share. There we go. Okay, can you guys see me?
Yes, we can.
All right, very good. All right, so I wanted to show that trailer to you to kind of pique your interest in participating in this. This is this True North Ministries. That's just a coincidental similarity to our VBS organization. True North Ministries has been around for a good while, and November 12th through the 15th. This is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Cleburne is. How many of you have ever been there before? Anyway, close. It's very close. So it's like a 3-hour drive from here. I'm going to try to talk Todd into taking the bus up. Regardless, we could either take the bus or carpool. It starts on a Thursday night. So you travel, most of the morning on Thursday, get there. It's like 3 hours to get there. And then you start on a Thursday night and it runs Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with enough time for you to return to Houston. The cost is $250 per person. I do have, if anybody can't afford that or whatever, come talk to me privately. I've got some scholarship money built into the ministry, if you're interested. And this is on the church calendar. There wasn't any conflict with anything else. Of course, we're not using church resources, but I don't think there's anything else on the church calendar that I'm aware of. So, and then if you'd like to go sign up online by the end of September, they need to know by then how many people are going. I attended this in 2024. There were about 80 men that were at the facility. It's I didn't mention it here, but it's the Arrowhead facility. Another church has it. It's got places where you can stay in with roommates that you can select. Like, so we're not going to pair you with people you don't know. So that type of thing. And there's like bunk beds and rustic kind of places to stay. They have great kitchen, place to eat, and then like there's things to do. It doesn't matter if you're not into clay shooting or you're not into shooting pistols, but they do have a range next to the the Arrowhead Center, where you can do things like that. But everybody's welcome, even if you're not into that. There's other things to do. So, you know. So anyway, I just wanted to get the message out there. It's in the bulletin starting this week. And so this is really exciting experience if you've ever been to something like this before. There's one note I would like to give to you. Don't be intimidated by all those baptisms that took place there at the end. You know, some of you or some visitors might be, oh God, they're gonna force me to become a Christian and get baptized that week. No, it's nothing like that. It's very low, how would you say, low intimidation factor. But if anyone wants to be baptized, we'll certainly, the group will certainly take care of it. And then one other note about the material that's presented. You may have noticed the gentleman who was speaking. That is John Eldridge. He is the author of the book Wild at Heart. And the material that's taught at the 3-day conference is centered around recovering the masculine soul, recovering your sense of adventure, risk-taking, things to encourage you to live the life that God wants you to live. So it's very good material. These are held, I know, in multiple cities in Oklahoma. There's not one in Houston yet, and this is the closest one in Texas, is in the DFW area. So any questions? I threw a lot at you in a hurry. Questions? You'll hear more about it as time goes on. I'm going to ask the worship crew and maybe you, Kip, if I can. That's too long to show during worship, but maybe some snippets during worship. I'll ask you guys how maybe I can fit that into a larger audience, but it won't be that long. So, okay. Right. So you guys can see me, right?
I can.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're good. We're good, Hugh.
You all can see me. Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay. Not you in here, but the guys online. Okay. All right. Tonight, we're covering chapters 14 and 15 in this book. For those of you who haven't been here, The 5 Marks of a Man by Brian Tomei. This is a really interesting couple of chapters. The first one is about building each other up with encouragement as an important thing for us to do with men that we know. And then the second chapter, which we'll cover, is about taking time out to play. This is a really interesting chapter. You know, church, we'll get into this more, is not all about being still, being serious, and listening to a sermon and taking notes in your Bible class. There are things that we as men and women were meant to enjoy, and we should play. And we'll get into that. All right. So I've got an opening question for you. I was in the wrong chapter. So tell me some of your experiences about when you've been encouraged by other men or women, or times that you've given encouragement to others. Tell me some good examples. How did you feel both on the giving and the receiving side? What is it like to give and receive encouragement to others? And of course, there are biblical verses all over the place, but I just want to get a practical answer to a practical question.
Being a teenager in this church and doing things, and some things were good, some things were not so good, but I was always trying to be involved and help, and whether it was parking lot attendant crew at the time or flagging people in the lot or working the grounds and such. And Ronnie was always an advocate and an encourager. If I don't know, I'm not saying anything specifically, but if anybody had complaints about what I was doing or acting, like Ronnie was always in my corner of like, keep doing you, man. Keep being you, keep being involved, keep doing that. Like Ronnie, even as a teenager, Ronnie was in my corner encouraging me. So that stuck with me and it carried through to more recent times between children's ministers and helping out with that. And Ronnie and his wife just always, I tell you what, man, that guy's always in my corner. So.
And so how did it make you after he gave all that encouragement to you? How did you feel and how did you act differently if you did after you got that encouragement?
It was free because I know he represents other people as well. And I know kind of the general message is if you're involved, if you're moving the needle in church, some people are really going to like it and some people probably aren't. But the idea is to involve yourself, to try, do something. I always felt very encouraged and supported just by at least making the effort to be involved and to do something. So, yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah, he's going to shake his head and nod, no way, but that's true. That's very true. Anybody else? Given or receiving encouragement? How did you feel? How did it change you?
Well, for me personally, joining this group and listening to a lot of the just everybody talking and giving their opinions and everything. Like when I started here, I was a boy. I admit to it. This book has helped me out a lot, but I've gotten a lot of encouragement from everybody speaking out and just listening and actually taking that advice to heart and really trying to, make my life better. I have to say I've come a long way just starting here.
Awesome. That is really awesome.
Well, I appreciate everybody in this room.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you too, and CJ.
So
Anybody else?
Barnabas is my idol.
No surprise, right? Oh, that's all you were going to say? Barnabas is your idol?
Son of encouragement.
All right. Okay.
It's the best thing we can do for each other.
Yeah. Well, as you all know, the Apostle Paul was big on encouragement. His letters were, I'm reading straight out of the text. His letters were full of affirmation on page 127, if you're there. He was speaking with the churches he helped start there in Thessalonica and encourage one another and build one another up. 1 Corinthians 5:11. And so he knew, like it says here in this paragraph, they were living at a time where Christianity was not popular and it was swimming against the flow. That's my paraphrasing of what he's saying there. Actually, Brian says they were weird, right? We're probably considered weird when we go out into the world, right? We're weirdos, and he knew that, if you want to counteract those feelings of isolation and you need help, you need to encourage one another. And the strength that we get is when we get and give encouragement. Anybody else? Just on the basics of encouragement? I mean, everybody knows it's important and good, but, I like to hear practical stories from you guys. Thanks for that thing on Ronnie.
Say when I read the word, obviously some things I'm like, what the heck does that mean? We're not in Jewish times, so sometimes like some parables or the Old Testament can be a little difficult to understand. So I asked, Travis, the youth minister, he'll help me explain it, or he'll explain it in a good way and it makes sense. And then, I use that to then explain it to other people, in knowledgeable ways. So we're being encouraged in the word, helps be understood.
Awesome. It's good stuff. Okay, on to a little bit of a lighter side that the author used to support this point. How many of you either had nicknames in your neighborhood or had nicknames in school, or you gave nicknames to others? Ken,
Yeah,
what's some examples of those?
same my last name. I was always called Hodge.
Hodge?
Yeah, played football in Dodge the Hodge. I was a good linebacker.
Dodge. There you go. Love it. Anybody else? Did anybody else get nicknames or give nicknames to others?
You're my twin sister.
Your twin
She named
sister?
me- yeah, she named me Bo. My real name is Jerry. She couldn't say Jerry. She couldn't say brother, so she just called me Bo.
I just learned that story for the first time. Did not know that. So, yeah, and I really love what he says here. Some of these examples that he had in the book. These are people that he's worked with. Darren is a daring executive pastor. He's called Daredevil. Stephen wanders in and out of meetings. They call him Kitty. Kathy is a strong older woman. She's the Iron Lady. And then what was your favorite, Kip? Did you have any favorite from his list or any from your life?
Some of them were honestly a little caustic. I'm not sure I would equal geriatric or.
I agree. I'm not sure I would have asked the publisher to put that on my page. But it got us to talk about it, right? There is one here, Bo, for Bo. Chad has no expression on his face, and he is Bo for Botox.
Yeah, this is very encouraging.
It doesn't go with the topic, right? So I think this is more comic relief than anything else. But anyway, he for those of you who are NFL football fans like I am, if you remember in the 70s, he's from Pittsburgh, the author, Brian Tomei. And so if you remember the 4-time Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers, they had quite a few nicknames that became household nicknames back during that time. They called the defensive line the Steel Curtain. Iron Mike Webster, he was the center that snapped the ball to Terry Bradshaw. Mean Joe Green, Dwight Mad Dog White, and he loved that time period because he grew up as a kid there, and it was exciting. But nicknaming is something fun that we do. But have you noticed there are a few examples where God is either changing the name or is sort of nicknaming people? Okay, all you Bible students, what's the first one you think of? What? Peter. That's a great one. He was first called Simon, and then he was called Peter. Of course, what did that mean? And I love the way he presents that example here in the book. Can you imagine what the disciples were thinking when Jesus gave him that name change? You want us to call this guy the Rock? Simon's proved that he's a reliable, steadfast leader, right? With no emotional hangups and no problems, right? That's a good one. What else? Back in the Old Testament, Abraham, he was called what first? Abram. Yeah, and then he got his full name.
Israel? Yes.
Yes.
Jacob is his given name.
Right.
Israel is his.
Right. But Abraham, of course, was because he would be the father of nations in Genesis 17:5. And then the other one that I love, the two disciples, the duo of the 12 disciples that got a name. Anybody remember what they were called? The sons of thunder, John and James. And that's another one where I can't imagine what the disciples were thinking when they were tagged with this name, but there was a reason why they were. Go ahead.
It's kind of interesting. You know, John had sons of thunder. I don't know if it's referring to their father or them. And yet, you know, John becomes the apostle of love.
Right. 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 And he kind of brings into the 20th century here saying, any name like that would work equally well on the back of a leather jacket and as a fantasy football team keeper, you know, the Sons of Thunder. Yeah. Fits nicely on a leather jacket. But anyway, so, you know, the most important thing is that we use these things, nicknames and bonding, you know, things to encourage one another. These are fun things to do, and there's actually a formal term that goes with you know, giving someone encouragement so that they will be affirmed, you know, and it's predictive affirmation. So if you get a shot of encouragement, a statement from someone who and love them and they knew everything you're doing, you know, this predictive affirmation says you're going to live into the way that others are encouraging you. I'm paraphrasing, but did you find that to be true? Let's say when you're coming up through elementary school or any organization or whatever you're in, when a mentor or someone, you know, took you aside, so you're really good at doing X, Y, or Z, and that caused you maybe some initial doubts, but then you took that and said, I'm going to take some risk and do something different and grow into what this other person thinks that I should become. You guys got any examples of that, either yourselves or others?
When I was younger, just being encouraged to talk stuff, you know, always like to talk to people, but I never thought about, you know, like saying a prayer for the church, you know, or leading a class. But in high school, get an opportunity to lead like a group during lunch or a Bible study kind of thing. So I like that every now and then being given the opportunity to lead this group and, you know, pray, stuff like that, good communion. So answer that.
He looks me up every Sunday for a handshake.
He's got a nice firm handshake too. Yeah. And
He'll get there with that.
his dad must be a good trainer. Yeah. So anyway, these things are really important, and I'm glad he put this practical chapter together because you know, we can get general encouragement, but one-on-one encouragement is how you build confidence. You know, not only with your boys or with your girls. That's how you build confidence with one another. You know, when you get you know, a godly encouragement from another man or another Christian. You know, someone says they want to see you grow in some area. That's something we should encourage, right? From each other all the time. So, and it's especially true in the church. You know, our church is meant to be a bonding experience. It's something where we can build all these characters. So
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because, I mean, to think of one, the devil's here. What does the devil always do? He's discouraging, always discouraging, trying to drive you into the ground, make you think you're not worthy, etc. So encouragement is the exact opposite of doing the devil's work. It's uplifting, it's strengthening somebody.
right. I'm glad you brought that up because as you heard John Eldridge say in that clip, the enemy is hard at work to try to undermine what men are trying to do it for the kingdom, you know. And so don't ever forget that. And so we need this encouragement from one another to keep going. Kip, you always look like you have a comment. All right, I got to learn how we'll continue learning how to work with one another. No, no worries.
It's just not big.
Yeah. Okay. All right, ready to put a bow tie on that one? And then this one's really fun, this chapter. Any other final comments on encouragement to one another? Okay, and so boys live to play, but men play to live. And this is really important to me. This is not in the book at all, but I was thinking about it as I was reading this chapter. How many of you have been watching The Chosen? Anybody? There's this one scene in there where they've been through, I can't remember exactly which scene it was, but Jesus and the disciples have been through a really tense time. And then, this is not in the Bible, of course, but I love that they put it in. They all go down to the lake and Jesus with the disciples, and they start just having fun with one another, playing chicken in the water and all these fun activities. And I was thinking as I was watching this fictional presentation, or at least partly fictional, most of it is based on the Bible, but they add things in to add the human side of the relationship between Jesus and the disciples and everyone else. I just really appreciate that they took time out to show these guys having fun. They were just having fun in the water. It wasn't all seriousness 100% of the time. Men and women were meant to enjoy and have fun. Sometimes we get a false image that church members are just supposed to keep their head down, be serious, be still, be quiet, and don't laugh. But I just really appreciated that. So I don't know what season or episode it was, but if any of you want to go back and watch some of the old episodes, take note of that one particularly, because it was a great a relief from all the tension. And that is one of the purposes that men, need to be doing fun things. So any comments, general comments to start about having fun?
Monday, we buried a long-time member from Porter. He and his family worshiped there with us for a long time. In 1982, he was baptized. He was born in 1939. So it took him a long time to get there. But the kids' comments and the grandchildren's comments about Brother E.W. were, he always had something fun for the kids. When he adopted Melinda, the daughter, and then he and his wife Dolores had Woody after he had lost two sons early. Kind of a tragic deal. But anyway, but the thing that Melinda and Woody remembered, he always had a go-kart or something with a motor on it, and if it ever stopped, he was on it immediately to get it running. He always made things fun. And even the young granddaughters that are not very old right now, they had the same thing to say about Papa. He knew how to have fun, but he was always a servant,
Right.
a godly man, very, very astute Christian.
Yeah, that's a great story. So anybody, any other? Yes.
There's a couple of guys in here that know about little fantasy football league that we had in the church.
Yeah.
And there's some critical rules of the league, and it is that the foundation of it is you need to be men that are moving the needle and involved in the church. And there are men a part of our league that don't even watch football. And that's really not the point, but there's a very competitive spirit.
Right.
There are real consequences and actions. And it's all fun, hilarious, what have you on the side. But the real goal of that environment is that these are men leading in the church. That's a requirement of the lead. And we are dealing with each other in humor, but also in conflict and disagreement and things. And the idea is some of these men, not me, are someday going to be elders in this church.
Right.
And how we deal with disagreement and conflict will be established through fun, through humor, through lightheartedness and understanding and getting to know each other, which I think is a lost art in men. I think we kind of tend to handle our business, do our own thing, and if conflict comes, I don't need that. I've got my thing. You go on to yourself kind of deal. And so I think it's very important that we have fun, to your point, enjoy, and go through things together in enjoyment so that when we disagree and we have conflict, it doesn't have to be a fight. There can be an understanding of the person.
And you're very lucky to have grown up in Tim's household. He's the best humorist that I know of. I mean, you know, his storytelling is just incredible. It always makes me smile, always makes me laugh, and especially when he tells attorney jokes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times like the outside person thinks church is like really strict. We're kind of like a Catholic view, you know, really strict, really, you know, you have to follow the rules exactly to the T and all that, you know, stuff. But like, you know, there's a sermon last Sunday, you know, at the barbecue, and it smelled real good. And it's made me think about that. Like, God wants us, you know, He wants us to have fun. He wants us to be enjoyable, you know. He wants to have this cookout moments and you know, like, I mean, there's dozens of times where Jesus ate with people to bond and to get closer. God did the same thing in the Old Testament with the offering stuff. It wasn't like, you know, people, they brought the offering over and they burnt it and, you know, it was really official. No, it was like, I mean, it was, you know, official.
Right.
It was, you know, bonding between them and God, you know, like sharing a meal. But so it kind of made me think about that because I never really thought of it that way. But you know, God wants us to have fun.
Yeah. And this is really important because, you know, secularly, I love the fact that he brought up the World Happiness Report. And believe it or not, of course, he didn't, he probably does in the back of the book, but there's no footnotes here. But at some point in some recent time, this was published. And what would you guess that the United States is ranked on the World Happiness Report?
16.
You read the book, but yeah, 16. I was hoping that we'd be in the top 10. I don't know where is Brazil. Have you ever looked at Brazil on the report?
No. Now, if they want to party, that's one thing. Then
okay.
They would be on the top, probably 5. But
yeah,
no, if they're gonna have a serious life and still enjoy it, that's different.
Right. But I just love the way he covered this subject, huh?
I don't know about the World Happiness Report, but I will tell you, the country I just came from is a lot happier than we are, and they lead a lot harder life, and they're not sitting around. I mean, you don't know where your meal's coming from.
Right.
The median income in Zambia is $300 a year, folks, which means that if you're in the country, you probably don't even see money, period.
Right.
You live totally at the, you know, by your community, your neighbors, God. And Americans, we are very unhappy. It's just, I don't care what, you know, what your politics, whatever.
Right.
You have to admit, we're always upset, uptight, and worried because we think we're on our own.
Right. And
I was surprised we made 16.
I was a little too. And as he points out, Israel, of all the countries in the world, is higher than the United States. It's a country that's militarily and geographically backed up against the Mediterranean Sea and surrounded by all of its enemies. And yet they find a way, I guess, somehow through these surveys to.
A lot of cultures and so on don't believe in, we're lost. I mean, we believe our production and our, our factories and whatever you want to call it, our riches will make us happy.
Right.
It makes us miserable.
Right. Thanks for bringing up the Zambia experience.
23 by 2025.
Oh, it's changed. Changed since the book was written. I needed an update. I'll have to send another asterisk update.
Trending down.
What, John?
Alan Bryan fixed that for me years ago, thank God. He wrote a little book, it's 13 Steps to Climb Happiness Hill. If you don't have it, you need to own it. I've given away over 150 of them. I mean, it's simple.
It is. I have one of them.
Focus on the right thing.
Thank you for bringing that up. That is great.
Climb Happiness Hill by Alan Bryan.
Yeah. And he died in 2006, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and that book was really it changed my opinion about a lot of things.
As a Christian, we should learn how to not worry. And like Bill said, I had some friends at church that they're in Brazil. You go to their house, it was dirt ground. And they said, are you hungry? And it was lunchtime. I said, I'm fine, but if you're going to have lunch, I'll have lunch. Yeah. They go outside and they get a chicken, kill the chicken, and that was our lunch. They don't have anything, but they don't have to worry. They had God. They were good Christians.
Right.
And they were happy. They were singing. They were enjoying life. We had so much fun building the church building there. It was working 12 hours a day, about 40 men working every Saturday to build our church building there. And, getting hurt, having bad backs, making fun of each other because none of us were professional in the area. But you have to put your issues, your problems in God's hand and just trust. That's what these people do, and that's what we need to learn. You can have money and still be happy. Use your money for God and be happy, but we tend to be worried and worry about everything, right. And then don't have time to be happy. Well, it's like this past weekend, I went up to East Texas to visit my daughters. And in that time, I had a friend that recently moved back to East Texas. And then I was hanging out with him and my ex-wife's husband. And we were all just speaking about, different things. And I was telling them about how I'm working on changing my life and how good my life is. Mm-hmm. Well, they started complaining about, they're living out in Lufkin, Texas, and they're having a bad time of it. My friend that just moved back there, they're trying to clear out his land that his father left to him. And but I told him it's about your perspective. Mm-hmm. You should be thankful that your father left you this land.
Amen.
That you can go out there and live there without having to pay rent or mortgage. Yeah, you're gonna have to work your butt off and clear the land and get your plumbing going and everything like that. But it's a lot about your perspective in life. And I can sit here and I can solve to you, tell you, I've been through this, I've been through that. That doesn't do me no good. So you got to look at the brighter side. It's all about perspective.
Right. I like that saying that it's not that we don't have enough, it's that we want too much kind of deal. The Bible says be a light. When are we more of a light than when John Freeman pulling in a big redfish? Scoring that closing shot in a basketball game and then tying that back to Christ.
Right.
The world sees those kind of moves and bonds are made.
And so to dovetail everything you guys just said, which is great, the faulty logic that's built into American culture is that, once your boyhood ends, where you've had supposedly have a bunch of fun, and then adulthood starts, you stop playing. Where did that come from? That's just crazy. Um, you know, play not only, as he says, helps boys grow into men, but also helps men grow as men. I love that little statement. So he goes through the rest of the chapter and he brings out these four major headings as we wrap up here today about what play actually does in a man's life. And so the first one is play, much like renewable energy that you all hear about, solar energy, you name it. It replenishes our power. That's one of the reasons why we should invest in it. You know, and this is written by this Dr. Stuart Brown. He said, play is the gateway to vitality. By its nature, uniquely and intrinsically rewarding. It generates optimism. It seeks out novelty. It makes perseverance fun. It leads to mastery. It gives the immune system a bounce. It fosters empathy, promotes a sense of belonging and community. Each of these play byproducts are indices of personal health, and their shortage predicts impending health problems and personal fragility. So there's good, expert advice on why we should invest in play, because there's consequences of not investing in play. So there are good, healthy reasons for investing in that. And so any thoughts about that? I thought that was a great little.
That is step number 7 in Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective Families.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So
I think we also need to teach our kids how to play. How to play.
Yeah.
Correct. And tie that back into the last chapter, positive reinforcement.
Right.
And because a lot of times, as a boy, if you're not the MVP, you don't play.
Right.
And we need to teach them. It's not about being the MVP. As a principal, I saw that all the time. Kids, if they weren't the starter, they didn't want to play anymore. They quit. But team, and
Right.
That's not what life is about.
Right.
It's about playing the game.
Just participating. Hey, go ahead.
What you said. About kids not knowing how to play is instead of playing basketball or tennis or ping pong, whatever, they'll just go to a bar. I have a lot of good friends, but their idea of fun is getting drunk. I try to encourage them like, now let's go shoot some hoops or something. Instead, try to find a little more fun than just sitting down. But I think kind of lost the idea, like you said, when you grow up and they just we're not supposed to have fun anymore. Kids forget what it's like to actually do those things.
I asked a kid the other day what he does for fun, what his favorite hobby. He thought of that for a long time. He said, I write code. I said, do you have any hobbies that are outside? And he said, no, I write code.
I guess that's
deep thought there.
Yeah, I guess if he's having fun doing it, we could share the fun with others, right? But go ahead.
A movie that I'm not going to plug. This is not a church plug movie. There's a line in it that is, let me get it right. We don't stop playing. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. Mm-hmm. And I think that is a epidemic in men. And it is something that is at the forefront of my heart, and for sure. And so this lesson tonight, it's hard, but yeah.
Maybe it's part of it's the playing, or when you play, you're doing, and you're doing something.
Right.
And we become a culture of watchers.
Watchers, right? Spectators.
Because I can't play basketball like an NBA player. I don't even try. I just sit from my TV and watch professionals do.
Right.
Or, you used to go out and play softball or you to participate. You knew you were going to be a professional baseball player, but you did it for fun. And I agree, we've lost that. We sit there in front of a TV set or a small screen and watch other people do everything.
Yeah.
That's why you pick up golf and fishing. You can do that till you die.
That's why you stay.
Okay.
Skills.
So to wrap up this, play is the antidote to tension. It's revenge on a stress-filled world that tries to beat us down. It makes us healthier men. It's renewable energy. It replenishes our power. So the next one is play puts us in our place. As you all know, God created man on the sixth day. And I like the way he puts it. As Adam and Eve were ready to work, he told them to rest on the seventh day. So I found that interesting the way he said that. But and it doesn't say in the scriptures, unless somebody corrects me, that you're supposed to be playing on that day of rest. But I guess it's implied that it's a rest. It's a day for. It certainly is a day of not working. And maybe preachers have a special case because they work on Sunday and have to pick another day to rest, right?
They get days off.
That's what I've been told.
Their work days are not really Sunday. Their work days are 4 or 5 days before Sunday, so they're prepared to have fun on Sunday. I believe that because I've watched my son and I've known some other ministers that I've been really close to. They put in a lot of hours before Sunday.
Your job is
true.
Never work when you love it.
That's right. That's right.
You love what you do.
There are probably times, though, if you have a funeral and a wedding and a sermon all in one week, where you're challenged more than normal.
Well,
That's everything.
also, I mentioned earlier, I'm sure you'll never experience this yet, but when you voice your thoughts and opinions on stage, you'll never encounter somebody approaching you with disagreement. So, don't worry about that.
I didn't have it here yet.
Okay, so I think y'all get the major point there. Jesus did say another angle on rest is the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, in Mark 2:27. So he says God was starting them off with non-productivity to remind them they weren't the masters of the universe. Yeah, that's a kind of a perspective I did not realize. Their strength and their power and creativity, it comes from God, who's in control of the universe. And then 2 more sections here. You guys have any comments, Bo or Jeremy? I didn't ask you, and I don't pause enough.
Yep,
No,
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. And then play stokes passion. We when we're playing, we are also freeing ourselves up to take on new risks and new opportunities because you feel better about yourself, right? And you have if you don't, the consequences are rigidity, depression, lack of adaptability, loss of irony and such. I know I can feel it if I'm engaged in sweating or playing kickball even back as a kid or playing softball as an adult. I always felt like, hey, I feel a little more relaxed and like I want to go do something for somebody else. Is that a good way of saying it? What's your experience when you engage in playing and get things done so that you can get things done later?
A lot more impactful. I always tell my kids growing up, I always, on big days, if I knew I had a big meeting or something, I always go for a run or go to the gym before that meeting and just fire that dopamine up and just feel invigorated.
Yeah, excellent. He brought up two corporate ideas that were generated from play time at work. You've heard of everyone's used a Post-it note that was generated by two creators with 3M when they were investing 15% of their time to play and hatch their own ideas, even on company time. And the same thing with Google. They came up with Gmail, Google Earth, and Google News because the company encouraged them to take time away from their hard-nosed projects to be creative. So
God gave a lot of toys on this earth for us to enjoy. Tom says invented the light bulb and all that, it comes from just playing around with stuff. He's like, this kind of works together. But, using what God gives us and enjoying the things around us.
And then the last one, which is probably very, very helpful to most of us, play purges unhealthy desires. He has numerous stories of friends who they just crashed for whatever reason, focusing too much on work, became unhealthy. And almost every one of them was lacking any regular time for play or pleasure in their life. So this is important. Again, we're wired for pleasure. Healthy play not only recreates us physically, mentally, and emotionally, but serves as a vaccine. I've never heard it put that way before. It makes unhealthy play less appealing. It helps purge unhealthy desires. If you don't play, you're more at risk of addictions, affairs, and a whole lot of other self-inflicted diseases. Something to think about. And then he does cover a couple scriptures here. When Paul gave counsel to Timothy, he said, as for the rich in this present age, charge them not to be haughty, nor to set their hopes on the uncertainty of riches, but on God, who richly provides us with everything to enjoy. So the point of that passage is not, what we're discussing here about enjoyment, but if God, it states it in the other point that's being made, he richly provides us with everything to enjoy. Enjoyment, having a good time, is from the God, the Father, who created us in his image. So it's part of God to enjoy fun time together, and it keeps other things out of our life.